Picture this. You're at a dinner party, and the person next to you drops some mind-blowing facts about quantum physics. Then 5 minutes later, they're explaining why essential oils can cure cancer. Your brain does that thing where it just stops working for a second. How does someone brilliant enough to understand particle behavior suddenly think lavender can fight tumors? This isn't some random glitch in the matrix. There's actually a fascinating psychological phenomenon happening here. If you consider yourself reasonably intelligent, you should pay attention because you're more vulnerable to this than you think. But first, subscribe to our channel. Intelligence doesn't automatically make you immune to bad ideas. In fact, it might make you more susceptible to them in genuinely shocking ways. Think about it. Isaac Newton literally figured out gravity and invented calculus in his spare time, but he also spent years trying to calculate the exact date of the apocalypse. Steve Jobs revolutionized technology with his innovative thinking, but when diagnosed with a highly treatable form of cancer, he delayed surgery for 9 months while trying fruit diets and consulting psychics. So what's really going on here? Why do smart people sometimes make spectacularly dumb decisions? The first culprit is something psychologists call motivated reasoning. This is where our emotions and desires unconsciously steer us toward conclusions we want to believe are true. Remember how the entire polling industry completely botched predicting the 2016 election? Their political biases subtly influenced countless small decisions that added up to massive errors. We like to imagine ourselves as rational creatures who carefully weigh evidence before reaching conclusions. But the reality is we often decide with our gut first, then use our intelligence to justify what we already want to believe. It's like being a defense attorney for your own preconceptions. This connects directly to confirmation bias, where we actively seek information that supports our existing beliefs while ignoring contradictory evidence. Social media algorithms make this worse by creating feedback loops that reinforce whatever we already think. If you believe certain conspiracy theories, you'll find endless YouTube videos agreeing with you. And once you're in that ecosystem, the algorithm keeps feeding you more of the same content. Our brains are also wired for stories. We understand the world through narratives, and when a belief fits into a compelling story with clear heroes and villains, it becomes almost irresistible. These narratives act like mental catnip, especially when they're simple and emotionally satisfying. There's another factor that's become increasingly important: the erosion of trust in traditional institutions. When people lose faith in mainstream sources of information, they often swing to the opposite extreme. I know someone who started watching fringe content creators specifically because he no longer trusted conventional media. While I understand his frustration, jumping from one unreliable source to another doesn't necessarily get you closer to truth. But here's where it gets really interesting for smart people specifically. Intelligence can actually work against you in surprising ways. Yale law professor Dan Kahan conducted research showing that people with higher cognitive abilities were more likely to engage in motivated reasoning. In other words, the smarter you are, the better you become at twisting facts to fit your pre-existing beliefs. Smart people face several unique vulnerabilities. First, they're often right about things, which creates a dangerous confidence. They're the ones who ace tests, solve complex problems, and win debates. This success can lead them to believe they're smart enough to figure out everything, even outside their area of expertise. There's also what's called the Dunning-Kruger effect, where people with limited knowledge in a field overestimate their competence, while experts tend to underestimate theirs. But intelligent people have a related problem. They're exceptionally good at rationalizing their beliefs and finding supporting evidence, making it harder for them to recognize when they're wrong. Consider this. University of Kansas researchers found that more educated people often reject facts that contradict their beliefs. People with higher intelligence and better math skills are actually more skilled at manipulating information to support their worldview rather than changing their minds to accommodate new data. Smart people can also fall into the trap of loving complexity. They're drawn to elegant theories and sophisticated explanations, even when simpler, more straightforward answers are correct. This intellectual pride can blind them to obvious truths that don't seem sophisticated enough. Professional and social pressure adds another layer. For highly educated people, tribes are often tied to their livelihoods. academic careers, professional reputations, and social status can all depend on maintaining certain beliefs, even when evidence suggests they might be wrong. Think about Ignaz Semmelweis, the Hungarian physician who discovered that doctors washing their hands dramatically reduced maternal mortality rates. He had clear proof that his method worked, dropping death rates from 18% to less than 2%. But the medical establishment mocked him and drove him out of medicine because his discovery challenged their professional identity. He eventually had a nervous breakdown and died in an asylum. The information environment we live in makes these problems worse. Each of us carries more information in our pocket than Marcus Aurelius could have dreamed of, but we're also subjected to more misinformation, disinformation, and deliberately divisive content than any generation in history. Smart people aren't immune to having their information diet corrupted by unreliable sources. Look at how different leaders consume information. Some presidents want everything summarized into bullet points and made entertaining. Others, like Jimmy Carter, would read 300-page memos on minor tax laws. Neither extreme is particularly wise. The key is learning to filter information intelligently. There's also a social intelligence component that purely intellectual people sometimes miss. Socrates was brilliant, but he was also pretty obnoxious. He would interrogate people in ways that humiliated them, then act surprised when there was pushback. He called himself the gadfly of Athens, apparently missing the fact that people hate flies. His lack of social awareness ultimately contributed to his execution. Contrast this with Benjamin Franklin, who was equally brilliant but also beloved. He understood how to work with people, build relationships, and navigate social dynamics. This combination of intelligence and emotional intelligence made him far more effective than someone who was merely smart. The tribal aspect of intelligence can't be ignored either. Throughout history, smart people have formed communities around shared ideas. The ancient Stoics had their circles. Franklin created his Mutual Improvement Society. Today we see this in academic departments, Silicon Valley networks, and various intellectual communities online. The problem is when these communities become echo chambers that reward conformity over truth-seeking. When your status and identity depend on maintaining certain beliefs, it becomes very difficult to change your mind, even when evidence suggests you should. Smart people are also used to being right, so when they venture outside their expertise, they bring that same confidence with them. They assume their intelligence is transferable across all domains, which is a dangerous assumption. Elon Musk's confident prediction that America would have 0 COVID cases by April 2020 is a perfect example of this overconfidence bias. The solution isn't to become anti-intellectual or to distrust expertise entirely. Instead, it's about developing intellectual humility. The wisest people throughout history have understood the limits of their knowledge. Socrates was considered the wisest person in Athens precisely because he knew what he didn't know. This means staying curious, seeking out contrary viewpoints not to argue with them but to look for weaknesses in your own position. It means surrounding yourself with people who will challenge your ideas rather than just validate them. As the saying goes, iron sharpens iron. It also means being honest about your motivations. Are you reasoning to find truth, or are you reasoning to protect your identity and justify what you already believe? Most people, if they're honest, do the latter more often than the former. The story of Temple Grandin offers a beautiful example of intellectual humility in action. Cattle ranchers were struggling to get cows through vaccination chutes. The animals hated the process and would resist. Grandin got down on the ground with a black and white camera to see the world from the cow's perspective. She discovered that what looked like a harmless hose appeared snake-like to the cattle, and the banging of chains created panic in the herd. This kind of empathy and curiosity is what protects us from our own blind spots. It's about genuinely trying to understand other perspectives rather than just defending our own. It's recognizing that our intelligence, no matter how impressive, has limits. The most dangerous phrase in any language might be, "I already know." When you think you already understand something completely, you stop learning. You stop questioning. You stop growing. This is true whether you're talking about quantum physics or cattle psychology or human nature. Being smart is a gift, but it's also a responsibility. It means using that intelligence not just to win arguments or impress people, but to genuinely understand reality as clearly as possible. It means being willing to be wrong, to change your mind, and to admit when you don't know something. The smartest thing any intelligent person can do is remember that intelligence without wisdom is just sophisticated foolishness. And wisdom starts with the recognition that no matter how much you know, there's always more to learn. If you got value from this video, like it and subscribe to our channel.